Hello friends and foes, I am Lee of the Reverie, and welcome to my comic review and analysis series. Today we'll be looking at Gargoyles Demona, issue number 2. The text has been edited to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by Disney. Go out and support your local comic book shops. Demona and Angelica join with a group of gargoyles and Vikings as they head south towards Constantinople. During this journey, new relationships are forged, and Demona, for once in her life, is something close to happy. This first page gives us a look at her new outfit. More armor as well as fur give it a Viking aesthetic. Also, the top panel of her smiling looks so genuinely happy and peaceful, which is a very rare thing for her. A double-page spread shows us where Demona and Angelica are in the battle, also giving us a look at Angelica's outfit. She's got some gold armor as well as 2 swords. I don't recognize the exact type of swords she's using. They looked like a single edge, but they're not curved in the way a cutlass would be, and I'm pretty sure this would be a few centuries too early for a cutlass. So maybe it's a gargoyle original. King Sigrid of Norway, also known as the Crusader. This is the second historical figure that has been used in this run, but he will not be the last. Alright, let's get a look at the new gargoyles. The white one is named Mani, a fitting name given that it means moon. The griffin-looking one is Modi, which is probably named after one of Thor's sons from Norse mythology. And finally, Skad, whose name means injured or harmful. It's a really interesting bit of foreshadowing. Also, it's an interesting look at a different gargoyle culture from relatively around the same time as Demona's. Up to this point, we've only seen gargoyles from Scotland who traditionally do not have personal names. So the amulet is obviously being set up as narratively important. King Sigrid attributes his luck and victory to it, while also shedding pagan symbolism and acknowledging his own hypocrisy. If you look at the historical Christianization in different parts of the world, you will see examples of pagan symbols being adopted into a more Christian context. Here, Sked mentions Paul and Arlen, Thorfinn's sons. They are the stepsons of King Malcolm, who we saw in the last issue. While this is Demona's story, the human connection runs throughout all of it. The design and implementation of the iron box is very clever and poses some interesting questions. In the show, it's theorized by one of the human scientists that while sleeping during the day, gargoyles absorb sunlight, similar to photosynthesis, to replenish their energy. This way, they don't have to eat nearly as much to satisfy themselves as would be needed for a creature of that size. So, would putting themselves in an iron box during the day negate that effect? It probably wouldn't have any short-term side effects, but if they consistently did it for years, I would assume there would start to be side effects. Maybe they would need to eat more and not heal as fast. Clever way to get her on your side, instead of trying to convince her through any moral argument or financial incentive, just tell her she gets to kill humans without consequence. Bloodshed will always draw you in, Demona, and then you're surprised when you lose the ones you love. I really like this map of Europe, with the kind of fading of the gargoyles at the top, showing them making their way south to Constantinople, the red line showing their exact path through the Mediterranean, and the little boxes showing where they stopped. And it is surprisingly historically accurate. Here we arrive at Constantinople. Obligatory Istanbul joke. Sigurd's stone being cut from his chest and then him later gifting it to the emperor before returning home symbolizes him giving up the last of his more pagan traditions. It probably didn't happen historically, but it's a neat little throwaway thing. Alexio Comnenus was Emperor of Constantinople in 1111, along with his son John Comnenus, who was crowned co-emperor the same year. I think Demona has a very complicated relationship with the concept of romantic love. She very deeply loved Goliath, but that love couldn't overcome her own ambition and greed. But because she can't see her own fault or realize she's the one causing most of her problems, she instead reflects her own mistakes onto Goliath. Because of that, I think it's very hard for her to love someone in that way. But when it comes to Angelica, she doesn't have the same hang-ups because she hasn't had a specific negative experience with that yet. It's almost guaranteed that we will see Angelica's death later on in this series. There's no way she becomes immortal. While it would be a retcon, given Demona this experience with motherhood would shed a new light on her relationship with Angela. All in all, things are going fairly well for Demona so far. She got to kill humans with little to no consequence for a couple of years while traveling with a group of gargoyles and her daughter. Of course, there are some hard partings at the end of this journey, but this comic depicts one of the few truly positive times in Demona's life. I enjoyed this issue and give it a solid 7 out of 10. Don't forget to like and comment. No AI was used in the making of this video. Farewell for now.